Hello! I am the Untitled Chapter, also known as Matthew. If you want to learn how to spell those names, just check just below this video. We are on a title screen that when I was talking about title screens earlier, I'd forgotten it completely existed. This is the Pokemon Origins themed title screen, which is considered quote-unquote Generation 7. The Essentials-based title screen that I was talking earlier about is actually quote-unquote Generation 8 in code. There are 3 possible versions of this, I think. There might only be 2. So that brings the total number of title screens from 44, like I said before, to 46 or 47. Enough about the title screen though, because this is not a title screen part 2 video. Let's actually enter into the Pokemon screen. I did do research between videos, and the way that this is, the left color is coded is it is blue up until you get to half health, then it becomes green. Then once you get below 1/3 health, it becomes yellow. And once you become, or go below 1/6 health, it turns red. So I had the numbers wrong. I was telling you that it was 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. It's actually 1/2, 1/3, 1/6. But that is not the point of this video. The point of this video is the summary screen. This is the summary screen. At first glance, it looks very similar to the default Essentials summary screen. You have the header for the particular page that you're on. You have the Pokeball. You have the name of the Pokemon. You have the level that they are. You have whether or not they have Pokerus. Yes, this Pokemon has Pokerus. This Pokemon has... this is a male Pokemon. And you have the item down here. You have the... I'm getting sleep, so let me adjust. There. You have their markings. But then you have this here. The ability. This is something that I took from Generation 7 because I liked the idea of having the ability and the item just right next to each other. So I did that. I have the ability. It's Astra. It's an ability I took from Fire Emblem Awakening. I nerfed it though since I ran into it from Fire Emblem, so I'll get into that once we turn to the page that shows the ability. Now, unlike in Essentials, all of this is code that is completely rebooted, or it's like copy and pasted into every single page's function. I just had a single function that copies all of this code, or that has all of this code in it, and generates these dynamic headers. This header here is not dynamic, mostly because I never came up with an idea for what dynamic this could be. On this page, you've got the EXP bar. It works very similarly in terms of color to the way the version it works very similarly to the way that the HP bars in over on the party screen work. There's 3 colors. One is based on the amount of EXP between the last time you leveled up and the next time you leveled up, and then there's a color based on the total amount of EXP you have, and then there's like a middle number that is just, or middle color that's just supposed to separate the two so that you can tell the difference. You have the dex number, and it's colored based on whether or not the Pokemon is shiny. You have the species name, You have the type. You have the breeding, like the egg groups, I think is what they're officially called. I added this just to help people figure out whether or not you can breed. You have the original trainer, you have their ID number, you have the amount of XP they have, you have 2 next level. And unlike in the official games and most Essentials games, when you're at level 100, it shows you a 0 for 2 next level. I actually made their lines, that way it just, less confusing. Again, like I said, this icon here is not dynamic. Now we go on to the trainer memo page. You'll notice that the text is smaller than in official games and in Pokemon Essentials. It also color codes differently. But you'll notice adamant nature, that's the same. He is adamant. The date that this Pokemon was created, and when or where you caught them, what level you met them at. I can't remember the official term for this, but this is their personality value, which people can use to determine what their IVs are and all that. Although that's not important in this game because I'll show you later. And then here's this line here, likes to be called Mat Boy. I will get into that later when we do battles, because this has to do with Mega Evolution. He's holding a item that allows him to Mega Evolve, and this causes his quote-unquote secret identity to show on this trainer memo. Then you have the height and weight. The height and weight are what this icon is based on. I took a feature idea from Pokemon Go where Pokemon can the entry in the Pokedex is the species average. And you can be anywhere between, I think I made it 2/3 of species average and 4/3 of species average. And it's like a bell curve. I tried to approximate a bell curve. It's not perfect bell curve. But I tried to approximate a bell curve. And then this here is what you are in terms of species average. You are, this is a slightly short Gallade. This is a tall Glaceon. And then the gray bar behind the ruler is species, or is based on your species weight, how you are in relation to your species. This page here is your stats page. It's very similar to the way it works in the official games of Pokemon Essentials, just squished up a little higher because I have the description for both the ability and the item. The icon here is one of the more complicated icons on this page. The red section, which is very, very, very small, unless you're level 1, is default stats. HP defaults to 10, and all other stats default to 5. Yellow is how much of the stats are involved, or are based on the species-based stats. Yellow, so, because you multiply species-based stats by 2, and that's how much species-based stats affect your stats at level 100. The green section, which is kind of small in relation to the yellow section, is based on your EVs. How much of the stat is affected by your EVs. Or your IVs. The blue section is how much section is adjusted by your IVs, or your EVs. And then the white section, which only affects HP, is how much the section is affected by HP. Is affected by your level. HP is always coded to go up by at least 1 per level. So, in actuality, HP defaults to 11 because you cannot have a level 0 Pokemon. That being said, the light bar here is what stat is raised by your nature, and the dark bar is the stat that gets lowered by your nature. Unlike default essentials, I have speed at the bottom and special attack and special defense before it. I have this page here which shows your IVs and EVs. These asterisks here show stats that are maxed at 31. This is because I included the feature in Generation 7 where you can affect your Pokemon's IVs, sort of. I think I called them BCVs. I can't remember what I actually called them, like what BCV stands for, but you can increase your BCVs. So in the stats formula that used to exist, it's now IV plus BCV, cap it at 31. And if that total, so these numbers here will show your actual stats, or your actual IVs, but then this asterisk here will be if the total of IVs and BCVs is greater than 31. Here's your EVs, etc., etc. Hidden Power, Dark. Hidden Power X, which is a basically variation of Hidden Power that I added that includes Fairy type because it kind of bugged me, but I also knew that continuity of mechanics is the reason why they kept Hidden Power not able to access Fairy type. I touched on this in an earlier video. There are generation mechanics. So in Generation 1 to 5, Hidden Power and Hidden Power X have 59 base power. I have a hidden ability. I will get into that. I actually should have gone into that earlier. I'll talk about that later. Generation 3 to 4, where hidden abilities don't exist, he has the ability Steadfast. And in Generation 1, his special stat is 155. The way I've got that working is it's based on your special stat, or your special attack and special defense, which one is lower, but then it applies the total of the EVs from special attack and special defense, and the average of the IVs between the two. I think that's how it works. There are certain species where it uses the higher stat, which is based on the ones that had higher stats in Generation 1, and then like counterparts, like Gyarados was one of them, so I added Milotic as a counterpart. The evolutions have their own little mechanic when it comes to figuring out what their base special stat is, just so that I kept the idea that they all have the same base stat total. I kept that all the way back in Generation 1, and I even checked, and it turns out that that's true in Generation 1, is that they all, the formula that I created kept them at the proper base stat total, so it was interesting. Here is your moves. The color of this actually changes based on the move in question. You've got Hail. That's a non-damaging move, so that section is gray. You've got Return, which is a physical move, so that's red. And Ice Beam and Shadow Ball are both special moves, so those sections are purple. You press Enter here, and you can move the moves around. Ice Beam, ta-da. Up here is a new page. The thing here is just the types in the TCG. I thought it was a nice nod to the TCG. Ice types are water types in the TCG. But this is a page that shows you, oh, he's weak to fighting, or he's weak to flying, he's weak to ghost, he's weak to fairy. He resists fighting, he resists rock. This page is the ribbons page. The icon for this one just is based on the number of ribbons that you have. Perfectly neutral. I forgot about that, that's funny. Anywho, I did say that I was going to talk about Astra, This is a long video, twice as long as the first two videos. In Fire Emblem, it's hit 5 times at half damage. I felt that was kind of overpowered in a Pokemon game, so I made it so that it hits 5 times at quarter damage. So this will break Sturdy, it will break Focus Sash, it will, it will break anything that requires a multi-hit move. Or, it will hit anything that requires multiple moves to break. Trigger percent is speed divided by 8. I felt that was safe. I think the highest possible speed stat in this game comes from a max speed form Deoxys, which brings you like 480, which divide that by 8, which takes you to about 56%. Astro would trigger about 56% of the time. But that would require you to to figure out how to move this ability from Mega Gallade or Delta Bronzong, which I think it is another Pokemon that has it, all the way to Speed Form Deoxys. I have been speaking for 15 minutes, which is the longest video I've recorded to date. Well, except for one of my testing videos, which went on for 20 minutes because I kept babbling. But this is the longest video to date. I will see you guys in the next one.